In Baltimore, a federal indictment described a street organization that did not keep its name in the shadows. Prosecutors said Triple C appeared in rap videos, social media posts, and neighborhood images while violence spread across the city. By the time the federal case was announced, the government was alleging 18 murders, 27 attempted murders, drug trafficking, robberies, carjackings, and witness intimidation. But those numbers were only the beginning. The deeper story is how music, reputation, money, and murder became part of the same federal case file. Triple C was short for Cruddy Conniving Crutballs. According to the indictment, Gary Creek formed the group around 2014 and became its founder and leader. Federal prosecutors described an enterprise centered in Baltimore, with members and associates protecting drug territory, operating drug shops, carrying out robberies, and using violence to build status inside the organization. These were allegations when the indictment was returned. Later, guilty pleas would turn some of the same events into admitted facts. The government's theory was not simply that Triple C members committed separate crimes. Prosecutors said the violence served the enterprise. A shooting could settle a personal dispute, protect a drug operation, answer an insult, intimidate a witness, or raise somebody standing inside the group. Social media then carried the reputation beyond the block. What happened on the street could be celebrated, threatened, denied, or argued about online. That is where Baltimore's underground rap scene entered the paperwork.
Say I'm broke, that's old shit. Big gun day like old shit. Don't condone no shit. They want me dead.
The indictment specifically referenced a song called That's On Me by underground Baltimore artist Jack Boy Ike. It also alleged that several Triple C members and associates appeared in rap videos and used those appearances to promote the organization. Jack Boy Ike was not one of the 15 defendants named in the federal Triple C indictment. A music video appearance is not proof that every person on camera joined a gang or committed a crime. The footage in this documentary is cultural context. It shows the public image surrounding the case, while the indictment, guilty pleas, and court records carry the factual claims. That distinction matters because the videos gave prosecutors something more complicated than entertainment. The government treated lyrics, posts, clothing, hand signs, group appearances, and online threats as pieces of a larger pattern. Investigators alleged that the public performance of Triple C's identity helped create fear and loyalty at the same time. But a camera can capture an image without explaining who is responsible for what. The legal case still had to connect individual defendants to individual acts.
The Triple C gang made money by selling drugs and committing.
On May 27, 2021, a federal grand jury returned a second superseding indictment against 15 alleged members and associates. 11 were charged with racketeering conspiracy. The alleged conduct stretched from 2015 through 2020 and reached far beyond one neighborhood dispute. Prosecutors described contract violence, dice game confrontations, retaliatory shootings, firearms passed between members, and online activity used to locate or threaten targets. One of the most disturbing allegations involved murder for money. Daryl Carter later admitted that he participated in the murder of Quinton Heard. Carter also admitted involvement in an attempted contract killing after a $10,000 payment was offered to murder a person identified in court records by the initials AF. That guilty plea moved the story beyond accusation. It showed how prosecutors said Triple C violence could operate as a service, a target, a price, a weapon, and people willing to carry out the plan. Investigators also leaned heavily on ballistics. According to federal court filings, shell casings recovered from different crime scenes were compared through the National Integrated Ballistic Information Network. The same firearm could connect incidents that looked unrelated when viewed one at a time. A gun recovered after one shooting could point investigators backward toward another murder, another attempted murder, or another defendant. The case became a chain built from street reports, phones, social media, witness accounts, videos, and physical evidence. The names behind that chain reveal how much violence prosecutors were trying to reconstruct. Michael Chester pleaded guilty and admitted that he was present for 5 murders: Devonte Monroe, Carlos Jones, Diamante Howard, Darius Mason, and Corey Mosley, whose surname appears as Mosley in some records. Chester also admitted involvement in an attempted murder and acknowledged the ballistic links prosecutors used to tie incidents together. He received 20 years in federal prison. Desmond Butler received 30 years. In his plea, Butler admitted participating in the murders of Devonte Monroe, Diamante Howard, and Corey Mosley, along with attempted murders. Wayne Gilliam received 25 years after admitting his role in the murder of Corey Mosley and an attempted murder. Darian Coleman received 22.5 years after admitting his participation in the same Corey Mosley killing. Tyshawn Rivers received 25 years after admitting his role in the murder of Donya and attempted murders. Raekwon McMahon received 25 years after admitting that he was present when Darius Mason and Larry Matthews were killed, as well as participating in attempted murders. Corey Cawthorn received 35 years after admitting racketeering conduct that included participation in 3 murders, an attempted murder, and drug trafficking. These sentences do not mean every allegation in the original indictment was proved against every person. They mean specific defendants accepted responsibility for specific conduct and signed guilty pleas, and federal judges imposed decades of punishment. By early 2024, the Justice Department said prosecutions connected to the CCC investigation had produced 34 guilty pleas.
Nicole, Vic, well, officials say that Creek shot himself after members of the SWAT team stormed the apartment that he was in.
But Gary Creek, the man prosecutors called the founder and leader, never reached that ending in court. After the 2021 indictment, authorities said Creek was a fugitive. He was later found in Sandy Springs, Georgia. On June 8th, police surrounded an apartment, and a standoff lasted for roughly 3 hours. 3 hostages came out safely. Police said Creek died from an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound. No officers or bystanders were reported hurt. The standoff created a dramatic final image for Creek's part of the story. Tactical officers, an apartment complex, emergency vehicles, and a federal defendant who would never stand before a jury on the CCC charges. But his death did not end the investigation. Prosecutors continued building cases against other members and associates, and the guilty pleas kept arriving. The larger question is why the case remains so difficult to see clearly from the outside. Online, CCC could look like a name, a music video reference, or a neighborhood identity. In court, the same name became an alleged racketeering enterprise. A clip that lasted 3 minutes could sit beside an indictment that ran dozens of pages. A social media post could become part of a timeline that also included shell casings, medical records, cell phone evidence, and witness testimony. That collision is what makes the CCC story different from a simple rapper biography or a simple gang roundup. The music was not the crime. The government's case was that the public image, private disputes, drug activity, and repeated violence overlapped inside one organization. The videos matter because they show how reputation was performed. The pleas matter because they tell us which acts defendants later admitted. And the victims matter because every count in the case file represents a life interrupted. Diamante Howard was 19 years old. A federal appellate opinion later noted that he was the first person in his family to be accepted to college. He was murdered in 2018. His name appears in plea agreements beside phrases like racketeering activity and murder in aid of an enterprise. But before he became a line in a federal case, he was a teenager with a future his family had reason to celebrate. Darius Mason was 22 when he was shot on Harford Road. He died days later. Corey Mosley, Devonte Monroe, Donya Short, Quinton Heard, Carlos Jones, Larry Matthews, and the other people named across the records were not supporting characters in somebody else's rise or fall. They were the human cost of a cycle that court documents can count but cannot fully explain. That is where this story has to end, not with a gang name, a sentence, or a viral music clip, but with the people who never made it home. For the complete CCC case file, we broke down the federal indictment, the guilty pleas, the sentencing records, and the source paperwork at TopTrendReportTV.com. You can read the documents and follow the case beyond this video in the Baltimore section of the site. This is Top Trend Report TV. The full case is always deeper than the headline.